In prior episodes, I shared some of the basics of JavaScript. For example, variables, conditions, and the document object model. And that's fantastic knowledge, but what can you do with it? Let's walk through a scenario together. How about this? As data changes in the system, we might want an alert or some opportunity to respond. Now, to that end, PeopleSoft has a complete eventing and notifications framework. From one location, say Appage and PeopleCode, we might publish an event, and we might subscribe using an entirely different handler. Another example might be a workflow event handler. It might publish one of these events. Or actually, right now, I'm looking at a PeopleSoft homepage. And on this homepage, I see information designed to help me decide whether or not to click on a tile. I mean, for example, I see there are 8 approvals or 23 in-process documents. Those numbers are designed to help me decide whether or not to click on those tiles. Now, maybe one of these tiles might want to subscribe to an event. Or here's my favorite scenario. Let's say a system administrator wants to publish a shutdown event. How about something like this? The system is going down for maintenance in 15 minutes. Now, can the PeopleSoft client running in a web browser subscribe to that type of event? With PeopleSoft's push notification framework, the answer is yes. All we have to do is write the JavaScript to subscribe. Now, first, we need an event and some code to publish. The good news is PeopleSoft delivers a push notification test page with a pre-configured event and code. Let's go there now. It's under PeopleTools, Utilities, Debug, Server-side events test page. Okay, next, we need some subscription code. Now, I want you to know where to find the details. So let's start with PeopleBooks. And I'm actually looking at the 856 PeopleBooks. You can see here working with push notifications, actually taking you all the way to the top. Products, development tools, find user interface, developer's guide, working with push notification framework, subscribing to an event. There's a great PeopleBook here with 3 different examples of how to subscribe using interwindow communication, using PeopleCode directly, or in this case, what we want to do is use JavaScript to subscribe. So wherever the person is at in the application, if an administrator sends that push notification message, our JavaScript running anywhere in the application is instantly going to receive that push notification and pop up the message saying, hey, system going down for maintenance in 15 minutes. Be sure to save or you'll lose your work. Interesting though, I want you to notice I'm showing you from 856. Now, we have the 859 PeopleBooks here in front of us. And so it's the same path to get there. Development tools, fluid user interface, developer's guide, working with push notifications framework. But interesting, I can't find the JavaScript examples in the 859 PeopleBooks. That's interesting. That's why I'm showing you 856. Here it is, subscribing to an event using JavaScript. And looking at this JavaScript here really quickly, from what we learned before, we see here's a function declaration. Name has parameters to the function. And then here, interesting. So actually, if we look at this code, there's the function declaration. And then down here, the JavaScript appears to be calling a framework, a PeopleSoft framework JavaScript function, passing in the name of the event that we want to subscribe to and the function handler. Now let's write something similar. Let's work through this, but we're going to write the code slightly differently. We're going to use an inline handler in this case. So let's see, keeping the example on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side, let's now open the JavaScript console on the right-hand side and just start typing in a handler. So I can type in subscribe. And since it's part of the framework, it's in the global namespace here from the PeopleSoft JavaScript. I can select that. I can see it's a function. The function requires a parameter, event name, and event callback. Perfect. Matches with what we see here, event name. Actually, oh, there it is, event name and callback, event name and callback. Okay, so event name, we want to subscribe to, and it doesn't show us here, but I dug through the PeopleCode to see if I could find the example, and I have that on the side. It is server event test A. Server event test A. That's the event that we want to subscribe to. And then we want a handler for that. So function, how about, let's go with event name. As we can see here, it has event name and event data. We'll just use the same parameters. and we'll build our handler here. So that's going to be an inline anonymous JavaScript function. And then let's do something with the content. How about this? Let's print it. What is it? Event data that we receive. Let's just log the event data. Event data. And then how about let's do one more thing. Let's put it into a global variable. So if we want to, we can investigate it further after the code's done. So let's go with window.test event data equals event. And want to make sure we avoid typos, no compilation time, syntax checking here or anything. It's all on us. That looks good. Okay, so subscribe, that's a framework JavaScript function we want to invoke. The name of the event we want to subscribe to, and then the JavaScript code that will run when the server somewhere publishes the event, server event test A. In this code, it's going to run in the context of this window, which means if I were to navigate somewhere else, click on a tile, for example, this code would no longer be in context. It would disappear, and I would no longer be subscribing. This is only subscribing in the current context. You might think of it as in the current component, meaning if I wanted all components to subscribe, then I might want to inject this some way globally, probably through the branding framework or some other mechanism, so that all components could subscribe to that system notification. The scenario that we talked about last. Okay, great. So now we have our, let's go ahead and just trigger our JavaScript, hit the enter key. Awesome. Subscribed, I didn't get an error message back. Hope we did it right. We'll find out here in just a minute, won't worry. So we'll go to the server-side event test page, and let's make this smaller so we can see both windows at the same time. I think that'll do nicely. Yeah, right there. Okay, and let's publish an event. How about test 1, 2, 3? Now, I don't know why the event data test page uppercases everything. It just does. In real life, this wouldn't happen. Oh, awesome. Look at that. We got an event back. We printed the event data so we can see the object itself. We can see that we received back a map. Why did we receive back a map? It's because the event data behind this, the actual event, server event test data, is described or defined as a map. And since we can see here, it tells us, hey, the data type is a map, then we can go down here and we can look and say, okay, what was the data that we received? And again, the server event test A has two properties, data 1 and data 2. The PeopleCode behind the server-side event test page, when you click publish, populates both with the exact same data. Kind of weird, I know, but hey, it's a test page. Now we also have, what do we call that variable? So this is the global variable, test event data. So we can actually investigate this further. .map, .data, how about data 2? Okay, great. Well, I said give me test 1, 2, 3. It gave me test %20, 1, 2, 3. That's a little bit odd, isn't it? It's what we call URL encoded form data. Now, seriously, I have no idea why they're using URL encoded form data here, because I don't see that that's necessary when it's coming back as an embedded object as it is. Anyways, it just is. So if you and I want to use that data, we need to decode it. So we'll use the decode URI. There's a handful of different decode functions available. Let's try this one. Awesome, we get back the result there, test 1, 2, 3. I think that's perfect. I think that's awesome. Now, one of the things I've done with this in the past is exactly what I said. I created an administrator page where an administrator, just like the server-side event test page here, the administrator could go in, fill out details like, for example, system is going down in 15 minutes. Set the interval in here and specifically say 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. And then hit the publish button. Instantly, all logged in users receive that notification. And because I put the numbers separately and I have full control over the JavaScript, I was able to write a subscription that said, start a timer for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever the interval happened to be here. And then on that interval, log the user out. That way the admin can look at the sessions on the server and say, oh, look, they're all dropping off. Oh, perfect. Everyone signed out. Now, great time to take the system down. Have you used the push notification framework? Or do you have an idea for a use case? If so, share your details in the comments below. I'd love to hear about them. Now at JSM Pros, we teach PeopleTools concepts every week. Be sure to check out our website to see what we're offering next. Or here's an idea. Subscribe to our LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter feeds to receive updates every time we post a course. Or do you have a team that wants to learn more? Give us a call. Let's get something scheduled. Now, before we go, I have another question for you. Do you have a topic you'd like us to cover in a future soundbite? If so, let us know by sharing your idea at soundbite.jsmpros.com. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more content. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.